Hello, this is Donna Sapp, and I want to tell you about an incredible journey of Lewis and Clark. The United States had just purchased an enormous amount of land, but this land was land where savages were said to live, a place where monsters were thought to roam. It was North America west of the Mississippi River, a mysterious territory that at the turn of the 19th century was highly feared and virtually unknown. Here's the map of the Louisiana Purchase. All that you see in green is the area that the United States purchased from France, and it is known as the Louisiana Purchase, and this is the largest single land purchase in American history. We purchased this total amount of land for the sum of $15 million. That may sound like a lot to you, but it was really a great deal because it only came out to be about 4 cents an acre. Some of you may ask, what is an expedition? An expedition is a long journey for a special purpose such as exploring. The name for the entire group of people for the expedition was called the Corps of Discovery. Well, who were the main explorers? Their names were Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, but most people just refer to them as Lewis and Clark. They were the leaders of an expedition to explore the vast unknown territory west of the Mississippi River. They were friends who also happened to know President Thomas Jefferson, and in fact, Lewis was Jefferson's private secretary at that time. Well, what was their purpose for exploring? Thomas Jefferson wanted the Lewis and Clark to explore this vast area, and their main purpose was to discover a direct water route to the Pacific Ocean and to learn as much as they could about the new territory. And they were also to establish friendly relationships with the Native Americans. Well, what do we know about Lewis and Clark? Well, Lewis and Clark were best friends. Both had served in the Army, and they were familiar with exploring and with the Native Americans. They were both excellent leaders and outdoorsmen, but were very different in nature. They both had different personalities. Lewis was serious, and he did more journal writing. Clark was more outgoing, and he concentrated more on drawing maps. They were not familiar with the territory that they were about to see. Sometimes people get Lewis and Clark mixed up on who did what, and the way I remember their contributions is Lewis has a W in his name. He concentrated on journal writings, and Clark has an A in his name, and he focused on drawing different maps of the unfamiliar territory. The W in Lewis for writing, the A in Clark for maps. Here's a picture of Lewis and Clark, and can you remember which one is Lewis and which one is Clark? Remember, Lewis did journal writings and Clark with an A made maps. What and whom did Lewis and Clark rely on? Well, they relied on their skills as soldiers and leaders, and they planned to take a team of about 30, that's known as the Corps of Discovery, on the long journey from the Missouri Territory to the source of the Columbia River. And they also relied heavily on a young Native American girl named Sacagawea. Where did it all begin? It all began on May the 14th, 1804. The expedition officially began, with the teams sailing up the Missouri River from a point near St. Louis. The entire trip took about 2.5 years. And here we have a picture of the gateway to the west. Many of you may have seen this in magazines or on the internet, but this is a tribute to where the journey began. Well, what did Lewis and Clark accomplish on their expedition? Did Lewis and Clark find an all-water passage to the Pacific Ocean? No, sadly they did not, but they did accomplish much during their expedition. There was a great economic potential for fur trading, and they discovered many species and animals. They made detailed maps of the uncharted land west of the Mississippi. Lewis and Clark kept detailed notes in journals, and they brought and sent back examples of hundreds of new species of animals and plants. Well, did Lewis and Clark establish friendly relations with the Native Americans? Yes, they made notes about the Native American customs and languages and established friendly relations with almost all of them. So I would say that their expedition was a success. Here's an example of the buffalo that they all came in contact with. My, what beautiful fur you have. For the economic potential of fur trading. And here is a sketch of a fish made by Clark. And here are writings by Lewis. And it looks like he was writing something down about some of the minerals that he found. So here we have the different species and minerals that they discovered in the new territory. And here is a picture of a map drawn by William Clark. And here is a picture of Lewis and Clark becoming friends with the Native Americans. Let's be friends. And here is a picture of a marker along the route of the Lewis and Clark Trail. And next to that, you can see a pathway, and that is part of the Lewis and Clark Trail today. And here is a map of the United States. Can you color the Louisiana Purchase area and mark the Lewis and Clark route to the Pacific Ocean? Thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed learning about the Lewis and Clark expedition.